Well, I'm standing here with Jeff, who is the owner of the Arrowhead Wild Rice Company. Now, Jeff, I remember it was probably 4 or 5 years ago when we came out to these very fields where you are growing this wonderful product you grow. So first of all, tell me what it is and why we thought it was so uniquely different to have it here.
This is wild rice, which is native to the Great Lakes region. It's an aquatic grass seed, so not even related to rice. But this is the flower on the plant, and this is where the rice
actually
grows.
So, and this is actually, am I right in saying it's the only American grain, native grain?
It is the only native American grain.
Wow, wow.
North American native grain crop.
And then first of all, it's beautiful. This bloom that you showed us, I mean, the color is a nice kind of a purple thing. And then how do you know, as your fields are filled with this right now, so how do you know, oh, I think it's time to harvest? What does that process go through?
As the seed head matures, because it's still a wild plant, it will mature slowly. So when there's about 60% of good grain on here, that's when you want to try to get in and harvest.
But then I would think, because you actually grow this in, like rice, there's
exactly
water
like
in
rice.
these fields right now, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you can't really just go in with your big old harvester and harvest at any time. Tell me what the process is then of how you know when to drain the fields, when to harvest, because that's got to be different every year almost.
Yes, especially like this year, it's been a little cooler, so it's taken a little longer. So we kind of watch the majority and try to get an average of the maturity and take a few samples. It's kind of a lot of just a feel for it. And then when to drain the rice paddy. And then once we drain it, about 2 weeks, we can go in and with a combine, just a regular combine, and combine it.
So that's a normal kind of way that you would harvest it over other types of grains like wheat and stuff, is it's a combine that whips it down and takes it in. But I have to say, Jeff, if I remember correctly, this is not your first attempt at farming and agriculture, is it?
No, no, it is not. This ground down here is typically swamp ground. It floods in the wintertime. And we grow conventional crops like grass seed and sweet corn down here, and it's difficult ground to get in. And so we found wild rice to grow down here, and it loves it. The worse the ground is, the better off the rice does. So
because the wet doesn't bother it at all.
This crop kind of picked us.
Right.
So it could flood down here in the winter and it doesn't bother it. It likes it. So
perfect. And then you also, though, have an entire area right here on your farm where you do the processing of this as well to get it ready to sell.
Correct. All the way down to edible.
Wow,
grain.
wow. So let's take a little quick break. Let's run up there and go over what more processing you go through to get this ready to sell. Okay, Jeff, I'm going to call this the processing room, for lack of better words to use to define what you do here, but this is where you bring the harvested grain, the wild rice, and then somehow, going through this process, you turn it into this where it is sellable. Tell me how you get from the harvest to this.
Well, after we combine it, we bring it up here and we run it through roasters, which is unique to wild rice. And that gives the wild rice a real smoky, nutty flavor that's very unique to just this specific grain.
Now, I have to ask though, in my world, roasting is like, barbecuing chicken, roasting in an oven. Is that a different process when you say you roast it?
It's kind of a steam, slow cook type roast.
Okay.
And it helps us because it's 48% moisture when we combine it. So it also dries it out to 7%. So it's storable. And then we gotta de-hull it. So there's that little hole on the seed. We gotta take that off. And then we length grade it and get the nice long grain and run it across a gravity table, which cleans out like if there's a rock or anything in there, and we get it super clean.
Wow.
And send out tests for purity, and then it ends up like that.
And when that process is done, then you put it into, these are your big bags of stuff.
Yes.
But then you also package it in these great little bags for retail.
1 pound bags for retail.
And these are available, if people go to your website, they can find out, contact you and see where they can actually buy this for their own home use or for restaurants and such.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. I was fascinated the first time we did this story years ago, and I am still equally fascinated by it. So if you're interested in more information, go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it
Yes.
again. Thank you.
Thank you.